Good evening and welcome to True Dugman Encounters. I'm your host, Marvin Allen. If you or anybody that you've known have had a sighting or encounter and would like for me to share it on my channel, then please contact me. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Like, comment, and subscribe. Before I get into this encounter, I just wanted to say, for the people that know me, y'all know that I collect multiple encounters before I even start uploading them. So I'll have enough. I've been doing this since I first started this this channel and stuff like that. I've been doing this since day one. But it just tripped me out when people say negative things, you lie and all that stuff. I don't lie. Things come up, family issues. I don't have anyone helping me do this. It's nobody out trying to get eyewitnesses for me to tell their story so I can tell it on the channel. I don't have nobody doing that for me, so I'm doing everything by myself. I'm grateful. I'm thankful for the ones that are patient and the ones that can wait. So what I'm gonna do is this is what I'm thinking. Far as weekly Dugman encounters, I can do that along with one other cryptid because I know it's listeners and people out there, members that want to hear other cryptids too. Even though our main focus is Dugman. But I think we're going to start that next week. So what I want y'all to do is, I want y'all to let me know which cryptid y'all want me to tell with the Dugman. Right after I do Dugman, I can go into the cryptid that y'all want to hear. So I'm going to need y'all to leave comments. The most comments for the cryptid that y'all want to hear, then that's the one that I'm going to do. Another thing, I'm going to start my live streams back up because I'm talking to an eyewitness and he's into the paranormal thing, aliens, entities, and all that stuff. So he been dealing with these third and fourth dimension beings, these creatures. I had pictures. He sent me videotapes and stuff like that. I want to have him on the show because I think he has a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. So I just want to switch it up. If anybody know, the Doug Pack been doing this since day one. We always switched it up and we always talked about other things. Again, I'm doing a lot by myself, so you have to bear with me. But if it's anybody out there that know people that had encounters and y'all could send them to me so I can narrate it for them, I would be so grateful. That's if you can. If you can't, then you can't. Because like I said, most of the time I'm doing all this by myself. I want to do a Doug Pack reunion. That's the members that put me to where I'm at today. The ones that encouraged me to start this. So I want to try to put that together and get in contact, with the original Doug Pack members. And I think that's just gonna be mind blowing, because we're gonna have a lot to talk about. Some of us ain't talked in years, some of us ain't talked in months, but I'm trying to put that together so we can do that. It's we can say a lot of things about these cryptids, but yet we know little. We know little about them. We only can go on. It's like a guessing game. You know, we can say that they live here. We could say that they sleep here. But the thing is bringing forth proof. We just don't have no proof. And if anybody do have proof of where they sleep and stuff like that, they sure ain't sharing it with nobody. So we got to go out and we got to do this research and we got to try to find the answers to those. Because like I said, it's a lot we don't know. As you all know, anonymity means a lot, and I breaks that for no one. So without further ado, let's jump right into this encounter. Now this encounter right here happened somewhere on the West Coast. Won't get a state or nothing like that because he asked me not to. Now my eyewitness, he was a working man, got up every day, went to work, came home, relaxed, watched TV, and go to bed. That was his routine. Every day he used to do this. He said, this is when all this stuff started. He said one weekend while off, he gets up in the morning, he goes out, sit out, smoke a cigarette. His neighbor come out, she comes out, she speaks to him. They go back and forth talking for a little bit. And they go back in the house. When it says he goes in there and he sits down and he starts to watch TV. Said a few hours would pass. And then he went back out to smoke another cigarette. He said while he was out there smoking this cigarette, something caught his eye on the other side of the street, just inside the tree line. And he's looking. He said all he could see was big yellow eyes that somehow glowed just like a bulb. Big yellow eyes and just a dark pitch black silhouette. But he didn't know what it was. But he said these eyes was too far off the ground. He said unless it was something up in the tree. These is the thing that he said was going through his head. Because he really didn't know. So he finished his cigarettes, he goes in the house. Finished looking at TV, time passed. Then he goes in the room and get ready for bed. He said while he's laying there and he's dozing off, he heard boom, 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 bangs on the side of his house. He jumps up, runs out, goes to the front door. He opens it, goes round the side and look, and he sees nothing. So he goes back in the house. He locks the door and everything, goes in his room, sits down on it. He don't lay down, he sits. And when he's sitting there, said about a minute would pass. It did it again. Boom, 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 boom. He jumps up, runs back out. Front door, open it, goes out, looks around. He sees nothing. And he said to himself, what is this or something keep banging on my house. So he said before he was getting ready to turn around and go back in the house, something caught his eyes. He looked at the back of his neighbor's house. That's when he saw him. He saw those bright yellow eyes again, peeping from around the backside of our house. So he's looking, and he's saying in his mind, what the is that? He said that's when he began to take a few steps. And as he was taking these few steps, he heard this growl that shook him to his core. And then he stopped. He stopped. And he looked. He stared at this thing. He said for some reason, he just kept staring in the eyes of this creature. He said he couldn't move. He couldn't do nothing. He said that's when this creature started to walk from around the backside of his neighbor's house. But just as it was doing that, the neighbor comes out her front door. That's when this thing turned and shot back around the backside of our house. And he snapped up out of it. Turned, walked back to the front. He see his neighbor. His neighbor said, is you okay? He said, yeah, something been banging on my house. She said, that's why I came out. Something been banging on my house too. He said, and when I came out, I looked and I just seen something with some yellow eyes around the backside of your house. She said, my house? He said, yes. She said, do you know what it was? He said, no, I don't. It took off. So they finished going back and forth talking. He said, and after they finish, they goes in the house. He goes in the house and he sit down for about an hour thinking about what he just saw. So then he get up, goes in there and he gets ready for bed. And he lays down. He lays down to try to go to sleep. But he can't. Because he's thinking about what that thing was that he saw. So he said he just laid there. Didn't even go to sleep. Daybreak come, the sun come up. He still woke. Gets up, go in there, put him on some coffee, made him something to eat, sat down and ate, went out and smoked a cigarette. Said as he was smoking a cigarette, he walked around the side of the house. That's when he saw these dents and bangs on the side of his house. And he looked over to see if he see his neighbor, which he didn't. So he went back around, stood outside, finished the cigarette, and then he went in the house. He said later on that day, about 2 o'clock, he had to make a run. So he went and did what he had to do. And he came back. He pulls up in the driveway. See his neighbor standing outside. Get out of his car. He speaks, she speaks back. And she said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" And he said, "Yes, what's wrong?" She said, I was standing out here, like I usually do, and I hear something just go snap, 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 like somebody breaking a tree or something. She said, so I look over in the woods in the tree line, and I see something, but I don't know what it was. He said, "Well, what do you mean? How did it look?" She said, when I looked and I seen it, it looked like it looked like a dog to me. That's what it looked like. And he said, eyewitness said, he said, you said a dog. He said, like on all fours? She said, yeah, like on all fours. She said, but this thing wasn't on all fours. It was peeking from behind this tree. And it had a massive dog head just peeping over at me. She said the head was too high off the ground to be on all fours like a dog. So he said, I don't know, just be careful. Just be careful. So they finish up talking, and she goes in the house and he goes in the house. My eyewitness said 2 days later is when he would come face to face with this beast. My witness say he goes to work one morning, the same routine. Comes home, goes in the house, clean himself up, fix some dinners, stuff like that. And he sits down and watch TV. That's when it dawned to him. He got to take trash out because it's trash day tomorrow. Now, mind you, my eyewitness said that everybody got to take their trash at the end of the driveway. That's where they pick it up at. So he waited for a while, but he got all his trash together. He said, but he got caught up in this TV show, and it was getting late. And he said, next thing you know, it's almost 12 o'clock. So he said, God, gets up, he grabs the trash, he opens the door, continue to walk out. When he take a few steps, he hears something rumbling in someone's trash. And he looks, and he can see this dark figure just moving, rumbling through the trash. He said it was on all fours, and it was down, rumbling in the trash. So he continued to walk again. That's when this thing stopped what it was doing, and it looked up. It looked up with those bright yellow eyes, my eyewitness said, and it looked right at him. That's when my eyewitness said he drops the bags on the ground. And he's looking at this thing. That's when this thing growled. And he said he could feel it. He said after that growl, he walked away from the trash. And he turned and he faced them. And then he said this thing just stood up on his hind legs. He said this thing was massive. It was huge. It was cut up. Broad shoulders. Huge head. Long, thick snout. Pointed ears. He said this thing had a mane like a lion, where it went over the shoulders and then went down. And it had the dog-type legs. He said as this creature's looking at him, it begins to sniff the air. And then it stopped and it looked at him again. My witness said that's when he noticed something in this creature's hand, but he didn't know what. Then he said to himself, it might be something he got out the trash. That's what he's saying. That's what he thinks. Said that's when this creature turned and it begins to walk on the other side to the neighbor's house. He said he watched this thing walk over there just casual. And it stopped. And then it turned. It dropped down to all fours, he said. And it walks up in the neighbor's yard. Over on the side of our house. And then went around the backside. He just standing there. He's scared. He said he didn't even want to move. He said that's when he turned and looked. And he see this creature coming back around, coming back out. And when it came back out, he said this creature had some type of animal in his massive jaws, just carrying it. And he said this creature just casually walked the same way he went up, he went back down. But he kept on going, crossed the road and over inside the tree line. My witness said after it broke that tree line, he ran in the house, left the bags out there and everything. Scared. He said he sat there and he grabbed his phone, thinking about calling somebody. But then he said he got to explain to somebody what he saw. And he said, then they're going to think he's crazy. So he don't call nobody. He just sat there in a daze. Said he sat there in that chair till he finally, fell asleep right there. So he gets up the next day. Same routine. He get himself together and he go to work, come back home. He don't see his neighbor out. So he just goes in the house. He said he didn't see that creature no more. But he would hear something running, walking, jumping, howling, growls at his window. He said he would still hear these things. Still. And he said it's still doing it to this day. So that's his encounter. Hope y'all like it. Get ready to upload it. But I told him I'm going to be ready for the next one that you send me. He said because he just waiting to see if he see this creature again or any others. So I'm going to upload that. Hope y'all like it. So get ready for the next true Dugman encounters.